So this is real. People have this idea about nonprofit organizations that it's all, kumbaya. I'm telling you right now, it's anything but kumbaya. And what aggravates me about that is we're out here supposed to be doing good work, which means that we should be helping each other. That's part of the good work. It's not just about what you're doing for your specific organization or how you're serving your specific population, but it's about all of us working together for a better world.
This does not mean that these organizations aren't well respected, and it doesn't mean that they aren't sincere, but it doesn't mean that they're right. And I would make the case that they are patently wrong.
I work in a food bank that pays well above our national average, our national minimum wage. We take pride in starting everyone at a very good level. We live in the second most expensive state in the country, and we still have staff members that work in my organization that qualify for our services. We have food boxes that are set aside every Friday that say staff on them. We have staff that stay late to avoid being uncomfortable and having other staff know that they're getting food from our food bank. And we are proactively paying people better than industry standards, and yet we have staff that are living in poverty, and that's not unique.
Well, we would give you a grant to start a program, but we don't want to pay for people or overhead. We'll pay for your hard costs. Well, our hard costs are our people. So that's really frustrating.
There's a real challenge around how we look at nonprofits, and I think one of the ways people look at nonprofits is how much money goes to services and how much goes to overhead, and it can't be more than this. And there's people like Charity Navigator who have these sophisticated calculations to determine whether you're doing it right or not.
The other thing I think too is a lot of organizations, particularly larger ones, they kind of make up for that in different ways. So organizations that get a lot of product donated to them, for example, they can count that as dollars in, and so then they can kind of play the books a little bit.
We added all the in-kind food donations our organization gets as part of our revenue and expenses to change our overhead costs from ultimately somewhere around 40% to closer to 7%. We couldn't have the number 40%, or we could no longer keep finding funders.
Nobody wants to talk about this. This is the elephant in the room that no one is discussing, but it's the truth. And it's a bloodbath sometimes, and we need to start talking about that and do whatever necessary to change that truth about what's happening in this country in the nonprofit sector.
There are things that I do that are considered overhead, right? So the more administrative side of the work. But if those pieces don't happen, neither does the rest of it. And so there's this perception, this myth that funding overhead is a waste of money. And we know that no organization runs without people to run it.
A lot of the times just posing the question, and I don't think a lot of people have even stopped to think about, well, why do I have this point of view? Why do I feel this way? Why am I more comfortable with for-profit sectors or large corporations getting paid huge dollars, huge bonuses, and yet for the communities that I live in, the causes that I care about, I want to see the leanest and the strictest donation funds to go towards that. It's not commensurate. It just doesn't make any sense.
What's frustrating about being in my position, having paid myself too little, it came out of a sense of, I was terrified of being perceived wrongly if I paid myself a reasonable compensation.
Often there is a theory or a perspective that we're not a business. We're just a bunch of nice people killing our time. And I find it frustrating, insulting, and ignorant. It's quite the opposite.
I've worked in nonprofits my entire career, and I've been on the brink of poverty most of that, because it's like a badge of honor almost. We work so hard, and we work for people and a mission that we feel a true affinity for, and we would feel guilty almost in making a livable wage. It's a mindset, and it's a mindset that's unhealthy and not sustainable, and it's something that really needs to start from the top, from a board of directors, and the message needs to be that the work that you're doing is vital in this world, and we can't continue as humanity without you doing this work, and you don't have to be starving to do it.
What continues to motivate me is that I interact with other nonprofit professionals across this country, and they say, "Oh my gosh, what you're saying is so true. Oh my gosh, I have gone through that so many times. Oh my gosh, we have got to change things." I've even had other nonprofit professionals say to me, I had to leave the nonprofit that I loved because they couldn't afford to pay me. They weren't able to get me the tools and resources I needed to do my job, and so I had to go get a different job. I didn't want this new job, but I couldn't stay and really fulfill the mission that I was passionate about because I couldn't feed my family.
From a broader perspective, we need to be realistic about what's happening in the nonprofit sector and start exposing the things that are detrimental to the people that depend on this sector in the United States, because we are failing our populations miserably. And if all there is glitter, then nobody is ever going to come to the forefront to correct these issues.
I'm sometimes frustrated and confused that, oh, you're a not-for-profit. Well, how sweet of you. I'm not sweet. I'm just trying to get the mission, the work in my community, having access to medical care they deserve.